morning to you guys all here. A happy Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there today. Boy, do we have some severe weather, some showers, some thunderstorms ongoing up in the Midwest and Central Plains, and also showers and storms ongoing down in Texas / Western Louisiana. And our system that brought a busted severe weather system yesterday to Oregon and Washington State is continuing to move in over there where we're seeing rain showers and some snow showers and higher elevations. I do want to mention yesterday we were live for 6 hours covering that event in Washington State and Oregon. It was probably one of the biggest busted severe weather episodes we've seen in quite some time. The models were showing everything coming together. You know, we were supposed to see everything come together. So if you were expecting severe weather yesterday, that did not happen, which is a good thing. And the reason why that did not happen is we did have a lull in our dew points. Our dew points were forecasted to be higher than what they actually were yesterday, and we actually did not meet that threshold. So that is why the atmosphere just did not recover in time to be able to produce severe weather yesterday. So that is a good thing. We had no wind, we had no hail, we had no tornadoes yesterday. There's a little bit of wind with the system moving in off the West Pacific there, but other than that, rain, thunderstorm, some lightning for some people, maybe some small hail for some, but nothing expected went the way that it was forecasted to go. So that is one good thing. Now, I do want to turn your attention today. We do have severe weather today. We have two different areas of severe weather today. Storms and severe weather already ongoing this morning across portions of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and as well as the Central Plains there. And then the severe weather and thunderstorms ongoing. We'll have multiple rounds of storms in both areas today, especially overnight tonight. We could have an organized little MCS develop down in southern Texas. We'll be watching that event. I do want to let you guys know as well, we'll be live on TikTok today as always. That won't be until later on this evening. Me and Rochelle have some stuff we've got to get done with the kiddos today, but we will be on no later than 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. So if there's anything going on, we'll definitely be there to cover that. I do want to go ahead and pop up here really quickly and talk about what's ongoing. We do have one little severe thunderstorm warning here for some wind and some hail outside of Topeka. Other than that, general rain showers and thunderstorms ongoing this morning. There is a level 2 slight risk in place for an isolated tornado risk, wind threat, and hail threat. Wind up to 60 miles per hour, maybe 70 in some areas. Hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter in that area there. And an isolated tornado. That does include eastern extreme portions of Nebraska, northern portions of Kansas, northwestern Missouri, and southern portions of Iowa there and there. And we do have a level 1 risk zone outside of that as well for wind and hail. That tornado risk is less than 2% outside that slight risk. So Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Lincoln, down towards Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, Bloomington, Illinois, and Missouri. We have that threat for wind and hail today. And like I said, couldn't rule out an isolated tornado, but the shear up here is just not that favorable for tornado genesis. I'll get into the timeline on that here again in just a second. We also have a marginal risk for severe weather today in extreme portions of southern New Mexico, back here into portions of western and south central and southern portions of Texas. This goes basically from Pecos and Fort Davis along the Interstate 10 corridor all the way through San Antonio, New Braunfels, getting down here towards Corpus Christi, where we have a level 2 slight risk in place for an isolated tornado risk, wind threat, and hail threat. And that'll be mostly later on this afternoon and evening and overnight. Then it is a longer, a stronger system tries to develop, giving us the threat for a more organized severe weather event. And then that's going to basically develop into a surface low and lead into our severe weather threat for tomorrow. And we'll talk about that here again in just a second. I do want to go ahead and run over briefly what the radar is going to look like going into this afternoon here, so you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're going to see. Showers and thunderstorms will continue to on go through the day. And then as we get right around to 3 and 4 o'clock, we're going to start to see more of these intense bubbles kind of pop up here. And these could be hail related. These could be wind and an isolated tornado, especially down here into that slight risk zone. But I want you guys to pay attention to something. As we get closer to 7 to 8 o'clock tonight, some of the models are signaling a couple stronger supercells up and around San Antonio, west of that and north of that. But I want to watch this little MCS that could develop, a mesoconvective scale system. Basically, a damaging wind event with an isolated tornado risk or two could be embedded within that. And then that's going to basically work its way overnight off the Gulf and then redevelop into a surface low tomorrow, where we could see some isolated severe weather into portions of East Texas and Louisiana and southern Arkansas and western Mississippi. Now, playing out the radar for up here into portions of the Midwest and Ohio Valley, these storms will continue to work their way east through the day today. I would expect potentially some storms to refire later on this evening into tonight. This is going to be due to a capping inversion. So once again, that's that temperature inversion aloft in the atmosphere. If the dew points and the temperatures are separated so far, you get a lid in the atmosphere, and sometimes storms don't develop, and sometimes they do develop it if they can overcome that capping inversion. So we're going to have to watch a little bit of a question mark here in this area if storms can do that. But I think majority of the severe weather is in place for this morning and into the early portions of the afternoon before kind of dwindling out. So that's what I've got for you guys on top of the severe weather for today. I'll just kind of run over the risk zones again. Once again, marginal and slight up here in the Midwest and western Ohio Valley, and then marginal and slight down into Texas and southern New Mexico. 2% tornado risk for both areas there. Wind threat at 5% in the Midwest and Ohio Valley there, as well as the 5% and 15% down into Texas, and then hail threat is 15 for both and 5% for both as far as our probabilities go. Now, I do want to mention what's going to happen tomorrow. We do have a lower end threat tomorrow. The Storm Prediction Center has already mentioned potentially upgrading Texas down here in Louisiana to a slight risk for wind and hail potentially. We'll keep you guys updated if that does change. That'll be later in the stream this afternoon in tomorrow's video. If that does update, that we'll have that information out to you guys. There's also a marginal risk back down here into portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, northwestern Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and southeastern South Dakota. This is going to be a wind and a hail risk up here. I'm not expecting any tornadoes really to say for the least up here. Like I said, we just won't have enough shear in place to give us that. But there is a pretty big 2% tornado risk from Texas and western Louisiana, central Louisiana, and southern Arkansas. So do have a way to get alerts on your phone today and tomorrow for that in case a tornado does spawn. 5% wind threat on both, and hail threat on both of those is also 5%. So we also get to the day 3 outlook, and this is going to be for your Saturday. As I mentioned, the Storm Prediction Center potentially going to add a marginal risk or a slight risk in place for Saturday. This is a very conditional risk zone. If the Storm Prediction Center sees that the models continue to trend up and we see convection, they could upgrade this to a slight risk. But right now, all modes of severe weather will be possible on Saturday. We'll have some decent tornado parameters in place, some instability. But once again, Saturday is very capped out, meaning that if storms do break that capping, we could see some pretty significant storms on Saturday into Saturday night before our system works its way Sunday, where we could get our big severe weather outbreak. So just kind of something to watch here. We'll keep you guys updated on that. I wouldn't be surprised if this area grew in size just a slight bit or pushed east or south. So all probabilities are on the table with that. Now, I do want to get to our day 4 outlook here because this is what we've really been talking about really for the last couple of days now, and that's going to be the severe weather outbreak that's going to be on the table for Sunday and for Monday of this weekend into next week. And so right now, the Storm Prediction Center once again overnight expanded that slight risk just a little bit further to the east there, giving us a little bit further of a nudge up towards potentially West Virginia, eastern Ohio there, maybe getting closer to Pennsylvania. But the same risk zone still in place as we've been mentioning. Nothing's changed. Level 2 slight risk in place for all modes of severe weather, damaging winds, hail, and possibly a couple tornadoes anywhere in this risk zone for Sunday. I think that higher tornado risk is still going to be up here into the Tennessee, Kentucky area and portions of the Ozarks and Missouri Valley area and into the southern portions of the Ohio Valley. So we'll have to wait and see if SPC still does decide to upgrade this or not to an enhanced risk. Once again, I would not be surprised if they do. The timing of this will start early, probably Sunday morning, go through the afternoon, and then overnight hours. So we'll get more of that timeline as we get closer to this event. We're getting very close. So I know I keep saying that in each video, but we are getting pretty close to this event and knowing what's going to be happening with it. Day 5 outlook as well. Nothing has changed. Continuing to still see a slight risk in effect for all of basically the eastern and Gulf Coast here, giving us the threat for all modes of severe weather from Sunday night into Monday morning and Monday afternoon. This is a level 2 risk out of 5 on that severe weather scale. Once again, all modes of severe weather will be possible. We'll give a breakdown timing of this as this event does get closer. Now, I do want to talk about what we're going to be seeing once again with the overall pattern. Just kind of briefly explain again. I know this is the same information every single day for you guys with this same system set up, but we're going to talk about any changes here that's happened. This is the European model run that we're going to look at this morning. You can see that surface level low that's going to be developing overnight tonight, giving us a little bit of a push in some severe weather tomorrow along Texas and Louisiana, some rain and thunderstorms moving up into portions of the southeast, the lower Ohio Valley, and the Tennessee Valley potentially overnight tomorrow night. We can see that disturbance that's going to be in place up here in portions of the Midwest here and the northern portions of the plains there, giving us that shear for wind and hail for tomorrow. And then we get into Saturday and Saturday afternoon here. And there, depending on how strong this low pressure system is and how strong and how much shear we have out of the southwest here on Saturday, will give us either a make or break it setup once again for that severe weather set up in the Central Plains and into the Missouri Valley and Iowa area on Saturday. So a little bit of a question mark still on if we're going to get storms or not on Saturday. Stay tuned for that update. But then as we go into Sunday, that jet stream really intensifies, and both models, the GFS and the European, are very much in consistent track now with showing where this low is going to be at. The strength of the low is still to be a little bit determined, but this model, the European, really still wants the idea of a positive to negatively tilted trough, giving us a little bit more shear, a little bit more instability. I'm really more concerned about Kentucky, Southern Illinois, Indiana, portions of Missouri there, Nebraska, or not Nebraska, Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama for a higher risk zone for maybe tornadoes, wind, and hail. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see what they do with that. That's going to basically work its way off to the east, and then we're going to continue to see this active pattern. The models, especially the European, really painting a picture for multiple active severe weather episodes, really at least through the first 2 weeks of April here. So we're going to have to watch this. It's not set in stone yet. Things can change as always, so just kind of something to keep your guys' minds on. Have a way to get those alerts on your phone, have an action plan in place. This is almost almost peak tornado season. So that's something we really need to be mindful of. Another thing here as well, this is just our dew points, kind of gives us an idea of what our dew points are going to be going into the road here. And you can see Saturday's event there, dew points well into the upper 60s. You can even see we get those dew points in the mid to lower 60s as far as almost Michigan here for Sunday's event. And then eventually into Sunday, we'll have an open warm sector once again for storms to fire off in both days there. That'll work its way off the coastline of that storm system coming in. Then we're going to have another one come in potentially on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. SPC has already mentioned the idea of there being severe weather next week, so something to be mindful of. And then we just get rounds and rounds and rounds of potential severe weather going into the month of April. This is another thing we look at here. Just kind of gives you guys an idea of what the future cast could look like. And you can see showers and storms, very, very heavy rainfall, continuing to see potential for flash flooding down here in southern Texas. So be as mindful as those streams and creeks and those rivers rising. Just something to keep in mind. They have a way to get where to go if you get a flash flood emergency or a flash flood warning. Always have that plan in place. Both systems are going to be ongoing for tomorrow for Friday. You can see storms across the Ohio Valley, very low and severe threat up there on Friday. And then that system's finally going to move its way out Friday night into Saturday along the Gulf, bringing showers and storms and rain up into the Ohio Valley on Saturday. And then our main event gets going here. And you can see multiple little potential little lines of storms or some supercells trying to develop Sunday night into Monday. These will work their way southeast as we go through the overnight hours on Sunday, giving us all modes of severe weather both on Sunday, Sunday night, into Monday across the Ohio Valley, the deep south, the Ozarks, the southeast, and the east coast on Monday. That system clears out. We get a little bit of a break, and then we potentially get right back into this with even some more significant severe weather going into next week. So lots to cover, guys. Lots of active, busy weather going on over the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for the latest updates. We'll be live later on this evening. As always, I appreciate you guys. Be safe, be weather aware, and we'll see you guys in the next one.